Just one quick announcement before we get our session started. If any members are needing a hearing assist device, I'd like to welcome you this morning to our Friday morning session with Jennifer Haagenson. As a licensed clinical professional counselor, pastor's wife, and a mother of 2 teenagers, Jennifer brings both personal insight and clinical care to her ministry. She is passionate about creating grace-filled spaces where people can be honest, supported, and encouraged in their spiritual journey. We are thankful she is here with us this morning. She will be sharing about the community cure for depression. Please join me.
Good morning. We'll just have to working.
Yeah. Please bow with us for prayer. Dear Lord, we thank you for your presence. We thank you for your grace that fills our life. We ask that we can be servants to others, to share that grace. Lord, this is a tough world that we're in, and we ask that you can give us the words and the resources that we need so that we can help others that are also suffering. Be with Jennifer today as she's presenting. Help her words to be filled with your love. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. Good morning. Thank you guys for coming back again today. It's good to see you again. I'm wearing my my Dakota Conference shirt that I'm so thankful they gave me, and just have to say, like, I feel like a warm attachment to the Dakota Conference. You guys are very welcoming here. Thank you. Yes, give yourself a hand. You're very welcoming here, and I've just been thrilled to be with you. I have to leave like pretty quick after this is over to go back home so I can go camping with my family this weekend. But it's been a pleasure to be with you guys. And we are going to dive into the community cure for depression. A couple things first. One, I told you guys I would bring this book yesterday afternoon that I forgot to bring. So it was the one I was talking about in yesterday's seminar on Trusting God, a 365-day devotional. If anybody wants to look at it afterwards, I'm going to set it right here so you guys can come look at it afterwards. Briefly take a picture and order it off of Amazon. And the second thing before we dive in today is I also mentioned a little video. How many of you were here yesterday for the marriage talk? Okay, most of you. I mentioned a video, Nail on the Head. And I wanted to show it because it's applicable to yesterday's, but it's also going to be applicable to today's. So if we can pull that up for me, I hope you enjoy this.
I can just feel it, like literally feel it in my head, and it's relentless. And I don't know if it's going to stop. I mean, that's the thing that scares me the most, is that I don't know if it's ever going to stop.
Yeah. Well, you do have a nail in your head.
It is not about the nail.
Are you sure? Because, I mean, I'll bet if we got that out of there.
Stop trying to fix it.
No, I'm not trying to fix it. I'm just pointing out that maybe the nail is causing.
You always do this. You always try to fix things when what I really need is for you to just listen.
See, I don't think that is what you need. I think what you need is to get the nail
See, you're
out.
not even listening now.
Okay, fine. I will listen. Fine.
It's just, sometimes it's like there's this achy, I don't know what it is. And I'm not sleeping very well at all. And all my sweaters are snagged. I mean, all of them.
That sounds really hard.
It is. Thank you. Ow!
Come on. If you would just.
Don't.
Try to see things my way. Do I have
Just a little funny video, but it kind of illustrates and it's important when we dive into the community cure for depression too. When we say cure, we're not talking about a quick fix. We're talking about responses the community can give to help support those who are in depression. And oftentimes advice giving and telling them, just do this, just do that, just do this, just do that, it is not what they need, not what you need first when you're going through a depression. So what we do want to offer people, though, and being the church, is safety, connection, and support. Just like we were talking about yesterday in the marriage, of having that interactive circle be safe in the marriage, we also need that at church. So that when we come into the church community, the interactive circle there is also safe. If it's not safe, how often do we want to go? We don't want to go that often if it's not a safe place. And when we're feeling depressed, we need that safety, that connection, and that support times 10. And we're going to dive into that. I want to share my story with you. I told you guys I would, but before I do, I want to just talk a little bit about depression. Here's the thing, when depression grows, isolation usually grows with it. That's why community is so important, because the two can become a vicious cycle. Isolation breeds depression, depression breeds isolation. And you just start feeling very, very alone when you're depressed, and then you start wanting to be alone and not even go out and interact with people. Some people might just stay home. Other people are around people, but the aloneness is internal. And there's so much sadness and so much despair inside, but they don't let anybody know it on the outside. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more. So I want to share with you some of the causes, signs of depression, and how to get help too. So what is depression? It's a mental health condition. It's not just a temporary mood swings. We all have temporary mood swings where one day we're feeling a little down, the next day we're jolly and jumping up and down, and a few weeks later we might have a little down day. Depression is more than that. It's more of a more consistent, more down days than good days. It affects how people feel, how they think, and how they handle daily activities. And it can make even seeming simple tasks seem like they're overwhelming. I'll share with you a little bit when I share about my story of depression. It was, even folding a pile of laundry. I mean, that can still feel overwhelming sometimes, but not to the level it did when I was depressed. Just a whole different level of overwhelm when you're feeling a depression with just simple things. Some people I've seen people that I work with, some of them even struggle to just take a shower. They might not shower for days when they're depressed. Other people have a problem getting up in the morning, and they may just sleep and stay in bed. Other people can't sleep at night. It affects people in different ways with that, and with different things. It'll show up differently, but it's challenging. And also, it can have persistent sadness or emptiness. Sometimes just feeling like there's nothing inside of you, or like a numbness, and like you're just empty inside. It's a hard kind of feeling to describe if you haven't felt it before. If you felt it, like you know what that feels like, but just empty. Loss of interest in favorite activities. So maybe you used to like to sew. I don't even want to touch the needle right now. Or maybe you used to like to go and like I don't know, build a shed in the backyard. I'm not sure. Um, and like you may do it, but it's like that just didn't really bring me the pleasure that it used to bring me, or even like going out on a bike ride or going swimming or whatever it might be that you used to do. Like you're not interested, or even if you do it, it didn't bring you much pleasure. And like I said, changes in sleep or appetite. Appetite, some people is the same with sleep. Some people can eat more than they usually do when they're depressed. Other people eat less than, or even stop eating like significantly. Difficulty concentrating. It's a mental illness. So it causes mental difficulty with staying concentrated on stuff. If you're a teacher and you have kids, kids can get depressed too. If your kids are depressed in your classroom, they're going to have a more difficult time engaging with the material and doing their homework and staying focused. Same with us as adults. Like we might have a more difficulty like just staying on task with something or trying to read a paragraph. You may have to read it 3 or 4 times to try to catch what it's saying. Feelings of worthlessness. This is huge with depression. This is feelings like you don't matter and you don't matter to anybody, um, even the people closest to you. And you start feeling like you're a burden. And that's where we're going to talk a little bit more about suicide later, but that's where some of the suicidal thoughts come in, the thoughts of death or suicide. Sometimes it's about the pain being so hard. Like usually the thoughts of death or suicide are a way to escape something that feels very hard to go through. It's the mind's way of just creating like pathways to end what you're going through and what you're dealing with. Um, they're oftentimes not willed thoughts. Like people don't like just will the thoughts to come. They just come with depression. It's a part of it. And especially like there may be some of you here that are having some of those thoughts. Some of them show up as passive suicide, passive suicidal ideation. That's more common than active suicidal ideation. Passive suicidal ideation is kind of when you may have the thought of I just don't want to wake up in the morning, or I wish I didn't have to be here anymore, or it, if something happened to me, I really want to care. Sometimes it can even show up as risk-taking behavior, going and driving at high speeds on the highway, or going to another country by yourself that is and going into a dangerous place, putting yourself in the place of danger, jumping off a really high cliff that's maybe higher than you should jump off. There are just some adrenaline junkies, but some people are just adrenaline junkies. Other people are in that risk-taking behavior because they just don't really care if they live or not. And so those are some of the symptoms, some of the signs that we can see with depression. So why do we experience it? Many different reasons. Many different reasons. Sometimes there's biological factors, brain chemistry changes, medical factors. There can be hormone changes, including testosterone. High and low testosterone for both men and women can contribute to depression. So if you are struggling with depression, it's not a bad idea to go to the doctor and get checked out, because it might be a medical problem that is mostly causing it, the primary source. And if you fix the medical problem, a lot of times that decreases the depression. Low iron, because it creates fatigue, and fatigue over time can just cause the body to go into a depression. Thyroid problems very commonly cause depression. Also, I didn't put it up here, but chronic pain. There's a huge link between chronic back pain and depression, but even other kinds of chronic pain can lead to depression as well. So if you're having chronic pain and you're just kind of like feeling more low, not quite yourself, like it might be that you're struggling with maybe a mild or low-lying depression there. Um, and there is help. We can't always take away the pain, but we can help support you in it, and work with you and work with the depression. Also, psychological factors. Oh, I skipped genetic factors though. Genetic factors, family history of depression. Sometimes it just runs in families, and it can be a more chronic thing. Some people deal with depression more chronically, and it's just something that will peak and subside and peak and subside over the course of their life. For other people, it's psychological factors that can, someone that doesn't normally struggle with depression, just something can happen or enough things can happen um, that bring on a period of depression, whether it's stress, trauma, things like going through a divorce, moving, changing jobs, being in a toxic work environment, different things like that. Even just negative thinking patterns can bring on a depression. Also, social factors. This is really important for all of us, especially for the young people. As kids and teens, they are in school a lot. You know, as adults, we have a little bit more control over our environments, and that if we're in a job that's terrible and toxic people, we can switch jobs. Like, but kids don't always have a choice with where they go to school and who's in school with them and how those social relationships are going. And they have to go day after day after day after day. And if they're toxic in a toxic environment with the kids around them and being bullied and stuff like that, that can lend to depression. And that's is one of the big contributors to some of the suicidal ideation and suicide that we see in teenagers these days, is that social pressure. And I think a complicating factor is too, it's hard to escape it, because these days we have phones, especially as teenagers. We have phones, which I'm not totally against teenagers having phones, but they can complicate things. Like, one, if they're being bullied at schools, sometimes those bullies have their Instagram, their TikTok, their Facebook. Well, not a lot of Facebook. What's the other one? Snapchat. Um, and sometimes that bullying can continue to come through social media. So they come home, try to get a break from it. They don't get a break from it because it's right there. And then when it's right there, it's so public. Like, everybody can see it. Everybody can know what lies are being spread about them. Rumors are being told. And then it's socially devastating for them. Okay, really, really, really tough for kids to deal with. The other thing is TikTok, especially. I had a problem with this with one of my clients. He was scroll TikTok, and what he scrolled on TikTok was videos about people who committed suicide, instructions to how to do it, like, and just scrolling it. And then he was having suicidal ideation and had to go in intensive patient care. And he'd also use it sometimes for manipulation. And sometimes that can happen with people too, is they can use this suicidal, like, threaten suicide as manipulation, not actually real. But we always have to take it as real, because we don't know when it's real and when it's not real. So if you have someone doing that, you may just like have to take them to a hospital for evaluation, emergency care, something like that. Especially if they're a young person, a teen, even an older person, like, get them help, because whether it's manipulation or whether it's true, they need help. And especially if it's a kid or a teen that's doing this, if it's manipulation and you take them to a hospital to get evaluated by medical personnel, yes, it's going to cost you money, but it's a natural consequence for using that as a manipulation tactic. And it will, like, they won't want to do that over and over and over again, likely. So, but you have to do it every single time they threaten that, until they stop. So, and you have to take it serious, because you don't know when it's true and when it's not true, because something that's said as manipulation or a threat could turn into being truth. And not everyone that says, I want to make that clear, not everyone that talks about suicidal ideation is using it as manipulation. The large majority are not. Some are. So just keep that in mind. Yeah, relationships, feeling isolated. That was the other one. How depression affects daily life. Impact on school performance, work performance, relationships, self-esteem. You just don't feel very good about yourself when you're depressed. You feel like you're a failure, like you've let everybody down. It's just not very fun. And there's also an emphasis that depression can make everyday tasks feel like climbing a mountain. Ugh, your feet even feel heavy. Like some people move more slowly than they used to move because the depression just does that to the body. It's not like they're trying to. The depression just like causes this like whole slowdown, even in the movements that you make. Story time. Here we are. So I share a story, my story, and I'm gonna read for some of it because I want you to hear the thoughts that are inside that can be inside a depressed person's head. I think I don't know what I've shared here, but I've been a pastor's spouse for almost 20 years. Did great, loved it for so many years. I was in team ministry. I graduated in theology too, so very happy to be a pastor's spouse. But I hit a period of depression in 2019, and I was mid 30s. It is not uncommon mid 30s. Kind of go through an identity crisis, depression. You're processing a lot of things from your past that just come up, and then sometimes stress from current, and it can all just kind of like pile in. And especially if you've been a stuffer and you just stuffed things down and down and down and not really talked and opened up and shared, it just kind of like bubbles up and blows over. I kind of described it as like, I felt like, because I was kind of what happened, multiple factors. One, I didn't know it at the time, but I had a tumor on one of my ovaries. I'm sure that was wreaking havoc on my hormones, but I was unaware. Two, my ferritin levels, if you guys know what those are, they're iron levels. It was at, I think, like 19, and which is really low, really low. So my body was like tired. It was in a fatigue from low iron. I didn't know that either. All I knew is I was struggling, and we were struggling with some parenting stuff with my oldest, with my son. So I'd taken him to get a counselor. Oh, it was helping, and we got some other support too, and that was helping. And then my body was like, I can rest a little bit now because I finally have someone who sees, someone who understands, and someone who's here to help now. And we're starting to make a good path forward with some of the parenting challenges. And it was like when I did that, ha, it opened up a. This is unscientific, okay? But it opened up. It felt like it opened up a little hole in my brain, like all these thoughts that I'd been avoided start rushing in, and like I want I want attention, I want attention, I want attention. And I did. I had racing thoughts. Like I don't know if anybody ever read Racing Thoughts before. Oh man, it's awful. They just like a freight train, like going, coming, like all these different things, and you can't stop them, and you start feeling like you're going crazy. And uh, I started going to a counselor, kind of work with me. I was working at the church at the time as associate pastor. My husband was pastoring. I was also homeschooling my son because of just situations. School was not working for him right then. So I was homeschooling my son too. And I just started to dive into depression, went to a counselor. It got better for a little bit. But then, like, I felt like I was superhuman. Like, I've done hard things before. I can do this too. So he told me, he's like, you need to take a break from church, from work for a little bit. And I'm like, man, I can't do that right now. We have an evangelistic series coming up, and I'm leading the kids department. Like, I can't take a break. I gotta be there every night for to teach the kids. So I'm like, I'll be okay. I'll take a break after it's over. So I go to the evangelistic series because I'm doing a little bit better, and I just start diving quick again. And I made it through the evangelistic series, but I shouldn't have. I should have stepped back and taken a break. And then he's like, all right, you're going to take a break now? I'm like, nope. I've still got like, what was it? The people that do the stories for kids, Adventures in Odyssey. I'm like, they're coming to our church to do a program. I've got to be there for that program for the kids first. And oh wait, I've got to do this. And by the time I finally took a break, that depression was spiraling, and it continued to spiral so bad in the break that I couldn't stop the spiral. And I want to read you what I wrote as I was coming, like in the midst of the depression, because it really describes like the thoughts that are going on in a person's head, and a lot of vulnerability here. Are you guys okay if I'm vulnerable with you guys? Just because I just want to share it because I want you guys to really grasp what it's like to be in that position. And I have to read it because I wrote it then and I don't have it memorized. So it's a little bit long. Just bear with me, please, and stay focused here. I was sitting in church a few weeks ago, listening to the song Onward Christian Soldiers. That song has always been one that has stirred up renewed resolve to continue on in the Christian journey, to stay the course, be faithful no matter the cost, search for the struggling, uplift the hurting, bring light to a darkened soul, tell others about Jesus and his wonderful love for them. But on this day, my thoughts were much, much different. During a time of depression, as I sat and listened to the song, the picture that floated distinctly into my mind was of a group of Christian soldiers. Among them were my fellow church members and pastors marching in formation, carrying the Christian flag in front of them, symbolically representing the forwarding of the gospel movement. It was a grand and noble picture. But this time, instead of picturing myself as one of those faithful soldiers marching as to war, I pictured myself having fallen, wounded in the battle fight, looking up and seeing the whole army marching forward without me, while I lay, unable to stand, reaching out my arm in desperation, hoping for help. But none looked back. None stayed by my side. None knelt down in the sand next to me. None picked me up and helped me walk and supported me on the way. The Christian movement, the Great Commission, had to go on, would go on, with or without me. No matter that I had been wounded in the battle, no matter that I was hurting, I was alone. Hurting alone, grieving alone, having to figure out how to heal from these battle wounds alone. Falling unnoticed by those I had been marching with moments before. It's just depressed thoughts, thoughts fueled by the depression that is looming over me. I've never experienced anything so forceful, so dark. Sometimes it's hard to even see the light of day. It's hard to see the positive. My mind stays obsessed with what is wrong with me rather than who God is or where he is or what he can do for me. I have been so engulfed in the war that I have lost sight of the commander of the army. That has to be my reality because I am not talking or thinking faith, but despair. When I first became a pastor's wife, I would sometimes see and hear other older, disillusioned pastors' wives, and I would think, how did they get there? I was determined not to get to that point myself. I would keep my eyes on Jesus. I would not become bitter and resentful. I would be an example of a pastor's wife who would be able to weather the storms well with Jesus at the stern, and I would not fail. But now I found myself as one of them, bitter, disillusioned, depressed. What happened? How did I get to this place? How did I lose my joy for something that once was all I lived for? But it is not just joy, my joy for the Christian journey I have lost. It is my joy in life at all. I'm going through the routine of my days, putting one foot in front of the other, but it has all just been going through the motions, just pretending like everything is okay when really deep inside, I am not okay. And I have not been okay probably for a while. But in an effort to keep up the everything is great front of being a people pleasing pastor's wife, I have lost my identity in Jesus. I slowly let busyness and dedication to the church and the battlefront replace renewal and a genuine relationship with Jesus. I feel like the lost coin, lost within the house. I found my value in what I was doing for the church, even viewing myself as an indispensable asset, like I couldn't be replaced, like I had to march on or no one else would. Ridiculous thoughts. The army marches on, with me or without me. It must. The gospel commission must go forward, and I am grateful for it, because although I am wounded and hurting right now, I don't want all the army to stop, because there is a world out there that is hurting too, who need the hope that only Jesus offers. I cannot fight that fight right now. I cannot fight the fight for others. Right now, I have to fight the battle of my own soul. Right now within me, there are two me's fighting each other. One me is vengeful and strong and mean. The other me is weak and timid. As I picture the two me's inside of me, they were wrestling with each other, hair long, pulled partially back, but mostly hanging down. The unhealthy me was viciously grabbing the healthy me, eventually wrestling healthy me down to the ground, pinning me with her strength. I tried to get away, but I was too weak. I put up a little fight, but it was no use. Somehow, pinned to the ground under her, I finally managed to roll over on one side, curled up into a fetal position, and called for God to come and help and save me from myself. That is about my only hope right now. That God will save me from myself, that He will save me from my desire to just run away from it all, that He will take the awful thoughts from me that my family would be better off without me. But maybe for a little while they would. I wish there was a place I could go for just a couple weeks to get away from it all. But it always seems there is something I will be missing if I go that I cannot afford to miss. An orchestra concert by my son, my husband's birthday, my daughter's science fair. And there isn't money to go anywhere either. So I must stay, trapped in the intensity of my despair. I keep asking myself what is wrong because I look at my life and it seems great. I have a loving husband and two wonderful kids, and our church is filled with awesome people. But I am hurting. Why? I keep circling back to the reality that it is just me, something wrong with me. And I can't escape myself, although right now I desperately want to. I don't want to die. I am not suicidal. I just want to escape unhealthy, unhappy me. The other night, I went for a walk, and the depressed me showed up. So depressed that as I walked along the road, cars whizzing past, I pictured myself stepping out in front of them and getting hit by a car. I had two thoughts at the same time. First, that would really hurt. I was glad that thought was there. But the second thought startles me still, tells me I must find a solution to this darkness in my soul. The second thought was, well, at least then this would all be over. I felt a momentary sense of relief. I wouldn't have to be the one that has to keep the house running or the relationship going. I wouldn't have to worry about trying to keep up an image to the church that everything is okay when I'm really, really, really not okay. How do I get out of this dark place? Do I just tell myself you're okay? Everything's okay. Just focus on Jesus. It's so hard to see beyond the dark, dark clouds, especially when I am by myself. I am overwhelmed. Why? It doesn't seem that any of this should be overwhelming. It's not that much. I've lost a dad to cancer and stepdad to accidental electrocution. I've spent years watching my sister in an abusive relationship, then rising to the occasion to help her with her kids after divorce. I've watched a mom grieve and hurt through it all. And all through that, I managed to somewhat stay intact, though things were rough for sure. But now I feel like I'm reaching the end of my rope and can't handle things much simpler than that. I'm so angry, can't get it out of me, and can't suppress it either. How much fight do I have left? I can't sleep through the night. It's all I can do to put food on the table. Folding the pile of laundry on my bed took days. I am irritable and snappy and not handling my children's antics with patience. I don't want to be around myself right now. They probably don't want to be around me either. I don't like that I can't muster up inner happiness. I don't feel like I have the energy to be a domestic goddess. I can hardly get myself out of bed and focused on the task at hand. And I have so much anger and resentment within me that I have to get rid of before I can even try to display childlike anger. It seems the only way out is to dig in my heels and fight forward, but I don't feel like I have the strength to fight. All I feel like I have the strength to do right now is roll over under pinned down me and cry out, God help. That's kind of what it was like when you're in depression. The thoughts aren't healthy. The thoughts are deep. They're in a despair, and you feel very, very, very alone. I had so many people around me that would support me, that cared for me. But a great church. They're so loving family. They really were. But I felt alone, and that's what depression does to people. It makes you feel alone, like no one cares, like no one sees. Um, and it's just what it does. And I'm not the only one. And I got to share this because I work with teachers and I work with pastors doing counseling intensives for them. So I got to share with you some of these statistics real quick. 71% of teachers in small Adventist schools experience severe emotional and physical exhaustion. which can lead very easily to depression. About 20% of teachers in general across the U.S. Are in a depression. I think that's low, but that's kind of what the statistic says. There was a study done by Assembly of God that says 14.1% of pastors they surveyed experienced severe depression and 25.1% moderate depression. That's about 50% of pastors that were surveyed. Likelihood is at some point in their pastoral career, they're going to hit a place of burnout, and burnout or depression or both. This one, I got to share this with you, this quote. It's on post-traumatic stress instead of depression, but it was so significant. Stephen Sandage, a professor of psychology of religion and theology at Boston University, said that some of the studies they have done with religious leaders find alarming rates of post-traumatic stress disorder level symptoms. The levels of those trauma symptoms were higher than was post-deployment military personnel. Did you catch that? Higher than with post-deployment military personnel. That is significant. And that PTSD symptoms can also cause depression as well, because over time, when the body is stressed or experiencing some of those PTSD symptoms, it wears out the body. It tires it down. So I wanted to share just a few statistics on pastor spouses too, because there's not a lot of like academic research that has been done on pastoral spouses, but I did find a few quotes here, statistics. The good news is pastor spouses have a high support for ministry. 98% are like, yes, go for it. We support you. We want you to do this. However, 26 to 49% struggle with criticism from members or pressure to volunteer or fault finding. And 58 to 80% can feel lonely or isolated. That's significant because isolation breeds what? Depression. And depression breeds isolation. You have a pastor spouse who's already feeling isolated in a community and in a church. Like, we move a lot, we know that, and we move into places where people have deep relationships and friendships are entrenched. And sometimes, like, I often feel like I'm living in the fishbowl, but then I'm also living outside of it, looking in. I'm like, I'm part of the group, but not really part of the group. And that's an isolating feeling. 70% are worried about having enough time with family, and 68% are worried about finances. Here's just a few myths about being a pastor or pastor's family. Pastors only work 1 day a week. Not true. Honestly, like the pastors I've been talking to most recently have a trouble taking 1 day off a week because they care so much about you guys. They feel like they got to be there for you every day of the week. That's not healthy. Like, please go back and tell your pastors, ask your pastors, are you taking a day off a week? Because we really want you to be a healthy pastor for us. So please, can you make sure you're taking your day off a week? Because they struggle to do that sometimes. And then they get tired because they're working too much. Pastor kids and teens, another myth. Pastor kids and teens should be a perfect example of a Christian. False. They should be kids and teens that are learning what it means to be a Christian, that are learning about the forgiveness of Jesus and the grace of Jesus, that are learning that there's a community that loves them, that's there to support them, that wants to encourage them and help them. And when they fail, to like help them put a Band-Aid on their knee and learn how to get up and walk again and have confidence that they can and that they're loved and supported even in the midst of mistakes or poor choices. Another myth, pastors' families won't be affected by neglect of a spouse or a parent because their family understands they are doing God's work. False. Kids who are neglected by pastors because they're so busy at church suffer. They suffer just like if anybody that's not a pastor were to neglect their kids. Except that now they view the church as the one that stole them from their parent. And then it can create disdain towards the church for doing that. And spouse too. If a pastor doesn't take care of his spouse and isn't there for his spouse, the marriage becomes distant or conflicted or full of bitterness and resentment. And it's not healthy. So they've got to have time off to take care of their families and their children so we can keep our pastor marriages safe. Another myth: pastor marriages, families, and mental health match the happy faces they wear at church. Not any more than yours do. Not any more than yours do. Um, we feel like oftentimes we feel like we got to be a perfect pastor's family, but that's actually not healthy. Like we do, well, okay, we want to be a healthy family. Perfect, no. We want to be able to be vulnerable and share our mistakes, share our failures, share like how we're still learning about things. Um, and and when we are struggling, to be able to admit it and go get help. My husband and I have done marriage counseling. We did it through that stretch when I was struggling because we did have some marriage things we needed to work on. And we still go once in a while for a checkup when we need to. Or if there's something we just need to work through, we'll go for a session or two and work through it together. If you want to really know how your pastor's family is doing, ask your pastor. That's a myth too. You know who really knows how the pastor's family's doing? The spouse. However, if you're going to ask her, you have to be a safe place. And she's not sure that it's really safe to really say how we're doing, really. And that can create more of that isolation, more of that loneliness. To develop a relationship of trust with her, with him, so that when they are struggling, they can really open up and share and ask, repeatedly ask, how are you really doing? How is ministry really going for your family? Um, and be ready to listen. All right. I talked a little bit about pastors, but it's not different with church members. Church members struggle with depression too, right? Community struggles with depression. We saw that the other day in the statistics I gave about South Dakota and North Dakota. Your communities are struggling with mental health all around you, all over the state. And we need to be ready to help, and we need to be ready to support as a church. As depression often whispers, stay quiet, stay away, stay alone. But healing begins when a person is seen, noticed, and loved by others who do not turn away. Depression isolates, it disconnects us from God, from family, from themselves. It doesn't disconnect us from God. Let me correct that. It makes us feel like we're disconnected from God. God is still there. He's right by our side. He's walking with us through it. But because depression isolates, we feel like he's way up there. And like I felt like when I prayed, my prayers hit the top of the ceiling and bounced right back down. That's kind of how it feels with depression. Now, looking back, I can see how he was there with me all throughout it. But in the midst of it, you can't see it and you can't feel it. Some people say you just need to pray more. You just need to trust more. You just need to have more faith. Yeah, are praying. Like likelihood is, if they're a Christian, they already are praying. They're desperately praying, but they're not feeling or sensing the presence of God because they feel so alone. Because that's what depression does to you. It's an illness. It's cruel. It's one of depression's cruelest tricks is to tell people to hide the depression, act like you're fine, pretend like it's okay. And if you can't, just hide at home. You can't let other people see, stuff it down, keep it inside, or just keep away from people so they cannot see. Truth about depression: depression is real. Sometimes it's invisible. People may look fine while struggling very deeply. Shame and secrecy often make depression worse. And a hurting person may not need advice first, they may need presence. They often will need presence. When someone who's depressed comes into my office, the the first things we do is just listen. A lot of listening, and then there's also some other treatment that we do as well that I'm not going to get into. But a lot of listening, a lot of being there. Being there as a counselor is my biggest job. It's my most important job. Yes, I bring skills. Yes, I bring tools and all this other things. So counselors are recommended, and we do a good job. And I see depression go away. I see depression lift. Now, some of you may have the more chronic kind of depression that is harder. It's something that's going to need to be managed for a while. If it's situational, we can work through it. We will get through it and we will move forward. If it's chronic, we're going to manage it and try to keep that depression low and at bay and track you over time. And so we can help support more when the depression increases. We can decrease support if desired when the depression is easier and more decreased. So what's the church's role? We got to interrupt the cycle. If depression isolates, the community must do the opposite. The church should be the place where people can be known before they are well. Right? A lot of times we feel like we go to church when we're well. No, the church is supposed to be a hospital for broken people. Yes? A place of refuge, a place of sanctuary where you can come and you can be loved and cared for no matter what's going on in your life. And because here's the thing, healing is not only individual, in depression especially, it's relational. We need to secure attachments to heal well from depression. And a healthy church can help people feel remembered, welcomed, and less alone. What community does? Community notices when someone disappears. Someone stops coming to church. I mean, it could be because they're on vacation, or it could be because they're in a depression. Reach out without pressure. Community listens more than it talks. Offers meals, visits, rides, childcare, prayer, practical support. It makes room for grief, for questions, for honest struggle without judgment or condemnation, or being told if they just trusted God more, they wouldn't be struggling so much. That's not true. We're humans. Like you think of in the Bible, the people who had depression, Job, right? And Elijah, he ran to the cave and hid in the cave. And there's so many other people like struggled with depression at times. So if you're struggling with depression, just like anxiety, like you're not too unlike the people in the Bible that it talks about who struggled at times. And we as a church, we need to be dependable. The church doesn't help by being impressive. It helps by being dependable. Sometimes simple is powerful, especially when you're depressed. We missed you. I'm praying for you. Can I sit with you? Can be life-giving when you're feeling depressed. There were a few people that noticed me when I was depressed and that came up with caring comments or support. And it meant so much to me in that time that somebody saw and noticed and just cared. A caring community carries what one person cannot carry alone. If we're like one person's like a thread, it's not too difficult to break one single strand of thread, but a rope is much more difficult to break. And the church can be a rope for the community, not just for the members, but even for the community. Embrace your communities, embrace your members, embrace your pastors and their families. Now, there are some limits of community too. Community is powerful, but community also must know its limits. Love should not stop at comfort. Love must also connect people to find the help they need. Now, this is important because as mental health counselors, we're trained. Like I went to school for 2.5 years and I did it kind of rapid pace. I went to school for 2.5 years and then I worked 2,000 direct client hours after that under supervision of an experienced therapist, consulting on cases. What do I do with this? What do I do with that? And then still even after getting my full licensure, I still work under supervision because I still want to make sure that I'm learning and I'm growing. And like as church members, even pastors, most church members don't have that level of training. And that's why I went back to school, because I saw the need in the church for it and I wanted to help. I wanted the tools to help. And I knew I didn't have it with my undergrad in theology, right? So connect people with a counselor, with a professional. That's very, very important when they're struggling with depression, because community connects to care. Christian compassion is not only powerful, it's practical. Encourage counseling without shame. There's no shame in going to counseling. And you know what? If you're not struggling with depression right now and you're going to counseling, tell people. because we need to be able to share, because vulnerability creates vulnerability, and it breaks down the stigma and it breaks down the shame. It's okay to go talk to someone. It's okay to have support. The Bible says, bear you one another's burdens and so fulfill the law of Christ. That's what we're here for, to walk alongside you in times of challenge, in times of struggle. We want to be with you and help you, and we know the tools that can help bring you through that. What this looks like, helping someone make the first appointment. Now, here's a QR code. I want you guys to take out your phones right now. Not usually allowed in seminars, but take out your phones right now and capture a picture of this QR code. Psychologytoday.com is a website you can go to that will list a ton of counselors in South Dakota and North Dakota. I checked it out this morning just to make sure there are actually North Dakota counselors on that website, and there are. And then you can filter it, and you can say you want a Christian counselor in North Dakota or in South Dakota, and it'll filter that, and it'll only show you the Christian counselors in North or South Dakota. You might not need this, but I'm asking you to take a picture, because maybe somebody that you know will now or someday, and I want you to know where you can find the resources. Okay, so not just for yourself, but for your churches, for your communities, because 1 in 5 are struggling with a mental health illness here in the Dakotas. That's 1 in 5 people that might need a counselor right now or at some point in their journey through life. This is same one, so no, different one. Sorry. This is a different QR code. And this one QR code is going to be on the same page, same slide, the next 3 pages. So snap a picture of this too, because we also need to support someone and follow up after a hospital or a crisis. And we need to know what to do when someone mentions suicide too. This QR code is a resource actually published by North Dakota. Like, I'm super impressed with your state. This is a great site with a lot of resources. It has resources for how to talk to people about suicide, resources for postvention. If someone has completed suicide, how do we support the loved ones, the family members, the community members who are going through this and struggling with it? It has a whole little booklet on that. And so many great resources for you on mental health right here. So snap a picture of that. But I do want to just teach you guys a little bit too with suicide safety. Don't be afraid to ask. It's shown that asking somebody if they're feeling suicidal or if they're having suicidal thoughts does not cause suicide. It actually does the opposite, and it cuts through that isolation and opens the doors for communication on it, which can make them feel less alone, which can help decrease the suicidal ideation. Then do it. If they say yes, I have been, then you do a safety check. Do you have a plan? Have you done anything to prepare for killing yourself? If so, what is it? Have you ever tried before? Those are questions you want to ask, because you want to know, like, if is it passive suicide or active suicide. If it's passive suicide, just connect them with a counselor, offer support, listen to them. But if it's active suicide and they're like, yeah, I'm going to go do this and I'm going to go do it tomorrow night or tonight, like, don't leave them alone. Like, get them help. Contact 911. You can call 988. That's a national suicide crisis hotline. So you can call 911. You can call 988. There's probably crisis centers in your communities. Take them to the urgent care if nothing else. Sometimes communities have a behavioral health crisis unit. Not sure. Probably in Dakota is less frequent. But in some cities, I'm sure they do. But don't leave them alone. Connect them to help. What it may look like, also referring survivors of suicide loss to support and postvention resources. Again, the QR code has some of those that can help you learn and understand, and also help the person as they're going through it. And train leaders and train members to respond calmly and carefully, both to those who have lost someone to suicide and to those who are struggling with depression. Because, oh my goodness, the things I hear people say, even in churches, to people who are struggling with depression, with anxiety, or with suicidal thoughts are just sometimes more damaging. And when you're in an emotionally raw and sensitive place, comments stick with you more strongly that are negative or that are just, yeah, not helpful. And we have to break this stigma because depression is not a sign of weakness. It's an illness that can be brought on by lots of different things. Asking for professional help then is not a spiritual failure. It's a wise response to suffering. If someone broke a leg, would you tell them they need to go home and pray about it? No. You would tell them you need to go to the doctor. You might need an x-ray. You might need a cast. You might even need surgery. Maybe you need a walking boot. You might need some crutches. Like, I triple fractured my ankle one time when I was snowboarding. I didn't have to have surgery, but I had to have one of those little scooter things. I preached in a scooter one time. I had to have one of those little scooter things for like 6 to 8 weeks. Like, it took a long time to heal from a broken bone. Mental health is no different. It takes time to heal from mental health. From depression, it takes a while to get out of burnout. If your pastor or family member or someone is going through burnout, that also takes a while to heal from. We shouldn't ask a struggling mind to carry impossible weight without support any more than we would ask a broken ankle or foot to carry weight without support. Like, we need support. So referring someone to a mental health counselor, to a psychiatrist, to a psychologist, like medical doctor, is a wise thing, and it's a compassionate thing to do. If you're struggling with grief from suicide loss, I want you to know your pain is real. Your questions are real. Your grief does not make you weak or faithless. Your grief should not be lost. And the church has no right, and no one, the church or no one else, has any right to judge the eternal destiny of your loved one. Only God alone judges, because he knows the heart. He knows he knows what's going on. And we're not going to judge someone who dies from diabetes, right? So let's not judge someone who dies from suicide. Let's have compassion and let God alone judge them, and have compassion and support to the one who lost somebody. Community cure for depression, it's not one thing. It's a pattern of presence, compassion, and connection to care. It has to be consistent over time because these things take time to heal from, right? We don't expect someone with a broken foot to be out running a marathon in 2 weeks. We're not going to expect someone who's been to the depths of burnout or the depths of despair to be fully themselves in 2 weeks. We're going to have to be compassionate. We're going to have to be patient. We're going to have to be long-suffering and there for a duration of time. And we have to be a safe place. Churches need to be safe enough for truth, safe enough for tears. Tears are okay. I tell people in my office all the time, it's okay, I do tears. I do tears all day long, and I'll do tears any day of the week. Safe enough for questions. Safe enough for someone to say, I'm not okay, and be met with love instead of fear or judgment or condemnation. For those who are grieving with suicide right now, we don't ask you to hurry your grief. We honor your loved one. We honor your pain, and we honor the courage it takes to keep going. Be a safe person. This is my challenge for you. Be a safe person who can listen without fixing too fast. Just like the video that we watched at the beginning, she didn't want him to fix the nail in her head. And sometimes you may think that you see the solution to the problem of their depression. Just this, just this, just this. Well, have you tried this? Have you tried this? Have you tried this? Because we want to fix something we don't know how to fix. But what a person needs more is someone who can listen first. Now, sometimes they do want advice, so you can ask that. Listen well, and then you can ask, do you want help with this, or you just want me to listen? Because I'm willing to just be here with you, and I'm willing to troubleshoot. I may not have all the answers, but I'm willing to help creatively troubleshoot if you want me to. But if not, I'm just here for you. So be a safe person who can listen without fixing too fast. And if you're struggling with depression yourself, talk to someone. Share your feelings with a trusted person. That's important. Someone you feel is trusted, someone you feel is safe. Because sometimes if we share with people who are not trusted or not safe, we get shame and condemnation and judgment, which just worsens the depression and drives us deeper into isolation. So share your feelings with a trusted person. If you don't have anyone that you feel like you can trust, call 988. My friends who worked at the crisis line and the 988 line, and they tell me, please tell people they don't have to be suicidal to call. They can just be struggling and just need to talk, because it's suicide prevention. So they want to prevent people from getting to that place. And if you just need to talk with someone, it's free, it's confidential. Just tell them, I mean, if you are suicidal, tell them that. If you're not, just tell them, I'm not suicidal, I'm just really struggling and I need to talk. They will listen to you. And stay connected too. Avoid isolation. It's hard. It's hard. You might have to force yourself to connect with someone, but avoid isolation. Spend time with supportive friends. If you don't have any, you'll have to find some. Go to meetup.com. Meetup.com often has meetup groups in all over the place, all over the states, all over the US. Find a meetup group. Try to go make some friends if you don't have any supportive friends. Or and then take care of your body, exercise, eat well, get enough rest, seek professional help from therapists, counselors, doctors, and practice self-care. Hobbies, relaxation techniques, some of the other things we use for anxiety also the other day also apply to depression. So just want to thank you. Thank you for being willing to be the community that supports each other, and thank you for being willing to reach out when you're struggling. So let's pray, and then we'll have question and answer time. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for your compassion towards us, Lord. We thank you that you see our hearts when we're hurting. And then even though we feel very, 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 very alone sometimes, we are not alone. Because you are here, you're with us. And I pray, Lord, a blessing upon these people as they continue camp meeting and as they go back home, that they could be a beacon of light, a listening ear, ready to support. Just it was very simple. I care about you. I love you. I see you. I miss you. Whatever it might be, to just be there for the church, for their family, for their friends, for their community. And I pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.